We know what you're looking for.
Your specially grilled newspaper, spiced with lifestyle, sport, entertainment, politics, business, and international news. The Voice is available every Friday. Subscribe now. The Voice.
Dumelang Botswana Beto, welcome to the Voice of the People once again. It's what we do every Wednesday lunchtime, and we're back to discuss and unpack the issues. It's the controversial, it's the interesting. Isn't that right, Mr. Chief?
Yes, sir. And as usual, we encourage you to reach out to us and just share with us some ideas about issues that we want to talk about, because this is the voice of the people. And we are the voice, you are the people.
So let's hear you. But today's issue is a rather interesting one, isn't it, Chief?
Yes.
What exactly are we going to be talking about?
Matakwani and the legislation of marijuana.
That's right. As most of us know, marijuana, cannabis, mutikwani, is illegal to consume or sell or grow in Botswana. And today's debate is going to be about whether that law still makes sense and whether or not we should decriminalize the production, sale, and usage of marijuana. Mochiva na kio gompieno as usual o tla be a bua a supporta di issue tse ke sa dumelaneng le tsone and o dumela gore go tshwantse go decriminalize na ke dumela gore motokwane o wrong. It must stay illegal. So, Chief, why don't you take it away and let the people know what you think?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fang. So, first of all, just to give some context into this debate that we're having, right? We saw last week, or was it maybe a couple of weeks ago, Lesotho signed some deal with the EU that they will be exporting marijuana to the EU, right? So, look, this got the question going of whether or not there's an opportunity here for the rest of us, because look, we've got so much arable land, farming land in Botswana, so maybe this is something that we can go into, right? So that's my first argument about the economics. The economics of marijuana are undisputed substances in this black market. So now it's very easy when you've gone to buy marijuana and then there's other illicit substances being sold. I get it, it's a criminal underworld. So then they start to, I don't have this today, but maybe try this. You get what I mean? This idea that just because you are using one substance, it's going to get you to hook onto another substance, there's actually not much concrete evidence behind this. What it does show is that when just as an individual, your tolerance to drug use is a little bit lower. But I believe that if you take the weed away from the other substances, it's easier for now just the users to deal directly with whatever substance they want to use, and that gateway-ism effect is gone. I guess what I want, thanks.
No, we already have a problem with people using drugs, and the reason why gateway diragala isn't because I just want to get high and I want the next high, but rather gore ko ke rekang metukwane teng ka go itlhela le bo di cocaine ding di tagi tse dingwe tse eleng gore di worse.
Exactly.
Okay, so I understand that, right? And I hear what you're saying. Especially how buaka kgang ya gore re tlhatlhela batho ba eleng gore really whether or not they're in prison, it doesn't affect the drug trade at all. Those are the people. I think re bone ka di raid it's a CID back in 2019 we saw that.
My operation, I forgot what the operation was.
But where they would arrest people who were buying and selling weed, and then they would show us all more Facebook, more BTV and so on, right? Now my problem, Chief, with gona go legalize ana ke yone kgang eo ya gateway wa bone ke tlesha le yone ka gore na ke dumela gore go hana the reason why weed is a gateway drug, it's because people that smoke weed want to get high. Right? So, yeah, I don't got that person wants to get high. The next, once atrela that high, that thing that you're talking about gaining a tolerance for the drug, once atrela that high, you're looking for the next high. and the next time. And that's why you'll usually find, right? Gore batho ba ba irisang ditagi, ga irisi ditagi le one hela. Gore we draga ka di tobacco, abai draga ka alcohol, abai draga ka mtukwane, abai draga ka eng gape. Wa it just keeps going on and on, right? When you ban cigarettes, people say, oh, well, you need to allow cigarettes because you allow alcohol. And then when you allow alcohol, they say, well, you allow cigarettes and alcohol. People say, well, you must allow weed because you allow cigarettes and alcohol. Yeah. It's a very strange argument. Like, none of these things actually are positive. But we just say the way that we justify the use of legalizing the next one is to say, well, you allowed the last one. So maybe the buck must stop here. And we must say, no more drugs. Well, we don't want we don't want our community to get used to the fact that you can just get high whenever you want to. Hella. I think that that's extremely harmful, right? And even if marijuana doesn't give you cancer, Chief, I do think that there's a number of harms that are associated with just smoking, that we don't want. There's social ills, like you're saying, that we just don't want to encourage. I think the next thing is also this idea, we make these things accessible. The minute you legalize it, you make it that much more accessible to children, right? To high school kids. Now we already have problems stopping high school kids from drinking. We already have problems stopping high school kids from smoking cigarettes. Now, when you legalize it, Ghana high school kids they're intelligent people. So when you say to a 16-year-old, no, you can't smoke marijuana, but I can, they're going to say, why not? Right? Why can't I do it? Clearly, there's nothing inherently wrong with this drug. The problem is that you have an issue with my age and I'm just going to ignore you. They're going to rebel that way. So at least right now, as a society, we're sending an unambiguous message. Hormona is a drug and it's wrong, it's harmful, we do not want to accept it. Finally, because Ghana, this like you said, this issue is similar to what brought it up was the fact that the countries around us are legalizing the trade in weed, right? Yeah. It's decriminalized in South Africa, in Swaziland, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, right? So all around us, people are legalizing it. And so then we got to ask ourselves, maybe it's time to evaluate our laws, right? But I think that our society is not at the point where we need to be looking at these desires. I want to explore my psychedelics or whatever it is that's happening here. I don't think that's our society, right? We're not there. We've got half of our population doesn't have jobs. Most of us earn less than 10,000 pula a month. We have actual real concerns, right, that we need to be working on. Lesotho, their climate makes it easy to grow wheat. They get a lot more water. They get a lot more of this. I want to stop trying to waste land, trying to grow drugs that are illegal and are going to harm our people. And we'll have a whole nation of drug addicts. Great example is look at what's happening in the United States right now. They're complaining about how there's an opioid epidemic throughout. Rich people, poor people, middle income people, young, old, whatever. Everybody is a drug addict right now. Right? That's what happens when you normalize the culture of, let's just take drugs when we want. So now I definitely 100% oppose this idea, Chief.
Yeah, I think Yago states everyone's a drug addict because no one's about Trump. But I want to ask you something, like on a serious level, right? And we have someone we want to bring in on the phone.
I think we do.
Melo from Drugs is the
Drug Free is the New Cool.
Drug Free is the New Cool campaign. But before we get to it, I just want to ask you a question, Fangs, and if Tumelo is listening, he can also answer this question, right? Why is it that we can allow one substance, like you said, alcohol, but then we have issues with the other substances? Because we can argue that the effects of alcohol are just as damaging, if not worse, than the effects of these other drugs.
How real, Chief? I totally understand what you mean. Why do we pick the line here with this one?
Exactly.
Right?
And why is it now that because alcohol is in the open, we have things like Alcoholics Anonymous, we can deal with these things. So why is it that particular social ill is okay, but now we're like, no, but these other ones, they're too much for you?
You know what I think it is, Chief? Is because right now, we have unfortunately arrived at a point where our society it creates ibujala, right? And you're right. There was, I mean, initially when Western alcohol came here, when Western alcohol came to Botswana, for example, right, it was illegal. I get it that our colonizers they made it illegal for natives, Boronan, to drink that substance. Why? Because we drink that substance and then now and honestly, we never learned how to consume this thing properly, right? So we should be banning alcohol as well, right? Maybe we should. But unfortunately, because when the government tries to ban it, rekamituka for about 800 pula, we smuggle it across the border. So that one is really difficult. Hey, Arute.
Then that goes off. Where's the volume?
You know, there's these people who sell sweets and stuff in front of schools who are also selling the kids marijuana. Now, don't you think that having legislation actually allows these people to have like an outlet to sell rather than them selling it to kids? Because right now they're selling it to kids because that's their market. It's an easy market.
Unfortunately, the nature of drug dealers, Chief, is morality is not high on their list of priorities. Well, so I don't believe that like if a 15-year-old was to come and give them 100 pula and say I want this, they're going to refuse just because. I mean, they were already selling these drugs before when it was illegal. So if you make it illegal to sell it to minors, why would they stop selling it to them? You know what I mean?
No, the point is, and I don't think the way you characterize dealers that they're all these immoral people. We have a lot of people in our country to make a living. Make a living. So, you know, we can't put morality into this thing as an issue. I think it's a financial issue and a social issue that now these people must know that they shouldn't be selling to kids. This is their market.
Yeah, I hear you. So what you're saying is create a legitimate market for them.
Exactly.
Right? But even right now, there is, like you say, an illicit, illegal drug market. Right? And a lot of the people that buy from them are adults, but they still sell to high school kids. So, even when you were to legalize it, I'm not sure that the behavior of these people was to change in any way.
So, yeah, we are still trying to deal with the technical issues of trying to connect with someone, but yeah, that's basically the issues that we're dealing with today.
Yeah. Okay. So I have one question for you, there, Chief. Right? If this does actually happen, we do legalize weed, right? And now you start having, let's say, because right now, let's assume, out of the ballpark figure, 1 out of every 5 people smokes weed, right? If now that number was to triple, right, and become 3 out of every 5 people or something, I mean, is that a desirable outcome for you?
I still don't see how it's any worse than 1 out of 3 people drinking alcohol. We have a huge alcohol problem in this country, and the fact that we are trying to pick and choose between social ills, I think we're drawing a very thin line. And who are we to judge that over people's vices?
Okay, well, before we wrap up, it doesn't look like our our expert on drugs was able to connect to us, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's sad. Because
Yeah.
we were hoping to get an insight from Dumelo from Drug Free is the New Cool.
Exactly.
Hop onto their campaign, hop onto their page to
Please
see
do.
the work they're doing. They're doing a lot of amazing
Please do.
work.
Please do. All right. So I suppose, I'll give you an opportunity to give your final thoughts before we wrap up the show here, Chief.
Yeah, final thoughts. We need to legislate and be able to move with the times, right?
Yeah,
Because, like you said, all nations around us are legislating on marijuana.
Yeah.
Even in the States, and there's a reason why they're doing this, because generally social tolerance towards this use has increased, and I think with tolerance, taking it out of the dark corners that it is, it's easier for us to deal with, and like I said, we get to the heart of the issue. Well, this is a disease, addiction is a disease. Let's deal with it like that. The same way you can deal with alcoholism. Let's deal with people's addictions. You don't arrest them because it doesn't solve anything.
I suppose my last thought is this, is that I do hear the points that Chief made. I think that there's even other points that I've heard that people make about legalizing the marijuana trade, cannabis trade, in that it really does provide economic opportunity for people that are living in poverty.
That's a huge one.
And yeah, and even on a larger scale, you have, you can farm it, you can produce medicines from it, you can produce textiles from it, all sorts of things, right? So I get it. I get that there can be some real benefits that come from this, but I also think that there's a real danger in normalizing drug culture. And however it is, whatever we decide to do as a society, whether we decide to legalize it, ban it, or whatever, I think it's very important to analyze drug culture and how it's affecting our youth and our society right now. Because there are so many drugs available today, and it seems to be the norm for people to get high, and that should not be the objective or the goal of a human being in society.
Yeah, let's not arrest them either. But yeah, make sure you check out our YouTube page. We have a YouTube channel, The Voice of the People with Chief and Fangs. We also are on Instagram now, so drop us a like. But even though
That's right. So thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a very interesting debate. I look forward to seeing some of the comments you guys make on the post over the next week. And we'll see you next week, Wednesday. From me, Fangs, and Chief, goodbye.
We know what you're looking for.
Your specially grilled newspaper, spiced with lifestyle, sport, entertainment, politics, business, and international news. The Voice is available every Friday. Subscribe now. The Voice.